There's only a couple of British cars from the 1960s that I really love. The Aston Martin DB5 and the Jaguar F-Type. Sadly, there's not many of those left in the world, so it's unlikely I'm going to get a chance to drive either of them. But yesterday was my birthday and my very good friends at Jaguar gave me a very special present. A week behind the wheel of the E-Type's successor, the F-Type. So I'm going to start off by saying that I love this car. It's another Ian Callum designed beauty, and along with his other coupes for Aston Martin, I think this could be one of the best looking cars on the road. The 2021 refresh of the F-Type has given it a new face. Gone are the Nissan GT-R style headlights. They've been replaced by these very sleek looking pixel LEDs. These really look fantastic. It's also given the car a brand new front nose, a revised bonnet. There's new 20-inch alloys, and at the back the lights have been slimmed down and squared off a little bit. GT cars are of course not known for their practicality, and it's the same story here with the F-Type. The powered tailgate, which incidentally is a $1,160 option on this car, hides a 310-litre boot, which is probably big enough for a weekend away for two or a small weekly shop. There's no rear tyre, but there is a tyre repair kit, which also comes with thoughts and prayers from Jaguar. In place of an ugly spoiler ruining the beautiful lines of this car, Jaguar have given it a retractable wing which raises and lowers automatically when the car is going really fast. You can also control it from a button on the centre console. This model of the F-Type is a middle-of-the-range P380 R-Dynamic, which means that underneath this very large hood sits a supercharged V6 engine with a 3-litre capacity that generates 280 kilowatts of power and 460 newton meters of torque, 0 to 100 in 4.9 seconds. Now, while that's pretty quick, it's certainly not the quickest, but there are very few cars on the road that can do it looking as good as this car or with that epic soundtrack. The interior of the F-Type has had a small makeover as well, nothing too drastic, but it is starting to look just a little bit dated, especially when you compare it to the all-new Jaguar interior we saw in the F-Pace just recently. As you'd expect, there's a terrific mix of materials with lots of leather and stitching and Alcantara on the seats. Even the Jesus handle here for the front passenger is covered in leather. It feels very nice in here. The center console screen also runs the old software. It misses out on the new PV Pro system, but it still works pretty well. There's Android Auto and Apple CarPlay included as well, although they're not wireless. And you can also use the center console screen to create your very own dynamic driving mode by individually adjusting how firm you like the suspension, the steering, and the sensitivity of the throttle. This car has dual zone climate control, which is part of the Climate Pack, which is a $2,760 option. You might notice though that there are no centre air vents in this car, and that's because Jaguar doesn't want to ruin the lines in here. So what they've done is they've actually hidden them under this panel here, and they raise and lower automatically depending on what temperature you've got it set at. On the lower console, we've got this beautiful gear shifter, the volume control for the 12-speaker Meridian surround sound system with 2 subwoofers. Now that is a huge number of speakers for such a small car, and it's a $7,260 option, but I don't know if it's worth that much, but the sound quality is amazing. We've got the drive mode selector next to that, a few more buttons for the traction control, the exhaust button, which controls the valves on the exhaust to make sure that everyone knows you're coming in if they can't see you, the auto on-off for the engine, which I always leave off, and the button that controls the raising and lowering of the rear wing. A couple of cup holders here in the middle, that's all you get, and then a small bin with the USB inputs and a nice leather armrest. There's no head-up display, which I kind of miss, but Jaguar have replaced the old analog dials on this car with an all-new digital display, which is very similar to the ones that we've seen in other Jaguars. You can choose the number of dials to display, and there's also beautiful full-screen maps. The steering wheel is a pretty standard Jaguar unit with lots of buttons here on the left and right. It's covered in leather with 2 very nice-feeling metal paddles here at the back to change gears, which this car does really well. Electric adjustment for both seats are here on the doors, and there's also 3 memory positions. But for me, the seating position is one of this car's best features. It is so nice and low, I can stretch my legs right out. It's not hard to get in and out of this car, and I'm 190 centimeters tall, and that can often be a problem. Headroom is not fantastic, but the fact that this car has a panoramic sunroof has actually given me a little bit more space. Checking out the back seat. Just kidding, there is no back seat. It's not just the looks that I love about this car, it is also amazing to drive. It is so much fun. The suspension is a little on the firm side, but I do have the car in dynamic mode, so if we just switch into comfort here for a moment, I can actually already feel it smoothing out a little bit. But it's still pretty firm. That is nuts. I'm sorry, I don't think anything could wipe the smile off my face right now. Oh, in a tunnel with that exhaust. Better wind down the window so I can hear it. Yeah, I've become that guy. Considering how well kitted out this car is and the price that it costs, it is interesting that there's no adaptive cruise control. But do you really need it in this car? I don't think so. Of course, being supercharged means that there is no turbo lag, so as soon as you put your foot down, the power comes on pretty much straight away. It makes a nice noise while it's doing it too. Do some manual down changes as we approach the red light here. So good. 0 to 100 in the Jaguar F-Type P380 is officially 4.9 seconds. So let's test that out. Building some revs. Here we go. The other day when I tried that, when there had just been a little bit of rain, the back did kind of get a little bit loose. There was a little bit of fishtailing going on, but otherwise this car feels really tight and really composed. One of the sad/exciting things that Jaguar is doing over the next 5 years is going completely electric. So whilst whatever comes next after this car, the G-Type maybe, will probably be just as quick, if not quicker, it won't have that soundtrack. I'm gonna miss that. As birthday presents go, a week behind the wheel of an F-Type is pretty bloody good. Thank you, Jaguar. I don't want to say it's the best present I've been given this year, but it's up there. And one thing's for sure, this car certainly turns heads, and people want to stop and have a chat to you about it. Especially people who I think are maybe an older generation and remember the original E-Type. They see this and go, wow, that's really something. The steering is magnificent. I mean, you literally point it anywhere and it just goes there. In dynamic mode, it has a nice weight to it. It's just right. Look, whilst I'm all for an electric future and I believe in it 100%, I'm still a rev head, and there is something about the noise of an engine popping and crackling and screeching that I will miss. But you know, I'm sure petrol cars won't disappear altogether. They'll recede into the background a little bit and maybe become more something that you use on the weekend to have a little bit of fun with, rather than it being your daily driver. Starting at around 140 grand for the 4-cylinder model and about 216,000 for the supercharged V6 with options seen here, the Jaguar F-Type is without a doubt my new favourite car. It's incredibly impractical, and as I enter my middle-aged years, I'm beginning to appreciate that more and more. It's a lot of money for a car, but can you really put a price on true love?